YouTube. Yeah, I had this out to do a video for the graffiti guitars. This is actually painted by the same girl, JPax. Yes, this is my Westone Thunder 1. So this is a bit more a more long form. Been a while ago since I got this. Did our kitchen, got a bass. Yes, so this one is, if you look at the way you can tell these about, actually it says Thunder 1 on the truss rod cover, which is always handy. It's got the old style logo in the headstock, which means it's a pre-84, so this is a 1983. If you look at the serial number on the back of the headstock here, starts with a 3 for 83. That's all I know about the serial number systems on these. All the Westones, the Matsumoku, Matsumoku Japan, does it actually say, it doesn't say Matsumoku on it, this one, but it does have does say Westone made in Japan on the back plate. Some of them say, they actually say a Matsumoku product. So this is, Westone were Matsumoku's house brand. They had their own R&D department in the factory. To go a wee bit historical. Yeah, so Matsumoku was in the Nagoya region of Japan, and their big contract was making the boxes for Singer sewing machines. But they also started making guitars in the mid-70s, I think. And Westone was one of the brands that they were making. It was an American company called... This might not... No, maybe not. There's so much information it gets confusing, so just take everything with a pinch of salt. There's stuff I've heard. When I get things, people messaging me on up here, you're so wrong about that, and you're like, am I? Do you know, actually know? It's like the famous, like, oh, I've got a Matsumoku built Washburn. We know from the guy who owned Washburn never built Matsumoku never built a Washburn guitar, so there's no such thing. But I looked it up on the internet. Yes, there is a website that says that, but it's wrong. And okay, there's a matsumoku.org, which has a lot of catalogues in it, has the Washburn catalogues in it, but that doesn't mean they were built there. They didn't really keep records. To be honest, I'm not sure. If you go back, maybe not in the 80s, I don't know if they really knew that people were still going to be playing them in 40 years' time, sort of thing. They are, and they should be. Westone Thunder was an absolute game changer. I heard stories about one of you guys worked in a guitar shop when they first came out, and it was the Paddock was the guitar that he was talking about, which is I think it was the very first one, or it was kind of, and the Thunder came out very shortly after. But this guitar came out and it was, I don't know, £200 or something. And the thing was, at the time, that's not cheap in today's money. It's like roughly 3 times. It's like a £600-700 guitar. But what you were getting was a pro level guitar, not a £200 guitar at that time. You know, tuners made of tin and, you know, fake humbuckers and all that stuff. You know, you did get pro level guitars. You got your Gibsons and Fenders, but they were 3 times the price. And when Westone Thunders came out, it really was just a case of, it's a third of the price of a Fender, and it's arguably better built than the Fenders of that era anyway, or a Gibson, but especially a Gibson of that era, you know, sort of early 80s, late 70s. It's like, now they're worth money just because they're old. At the time, they weren't looked at because, oh, got a Fender, a pre-CBS Fender, or a, you know, like a 60s Gibson is a different thing from an 80s Gibson. Now they're worth money just because they say Gibson on them. So, oh, Gibson Les Paul, it's worth $5,000, is it? Someone will buy it for $5,000, so yes, it is. Is it as good? No. I also get somebody to tell us up here, it's all bullshit what you say about Japanese guitars. I know someone who's a luthier, and he says it, and you're like, you know somebody who told you this? You didn't play some and then decide? No, somebody told you. It's like that's not the same, you know. People can tell you things, and even if they believe it, doesn't necessarily mean you do. And there's obviously a slight level of personal preference in these things, because I mean, yes, okay, if a P bass is a no, this one's been painted. The more I look at it, the more I like it though. It's not a Fender P bass shape, so it's not as desirable as a Fender. It's better though. It's better built. I mean, this thing's got solid brass bridge, brass knobs, DiMarzio pickup. Well, it's a Gotoh built DiMarzio pickup. It's the same as a DiMarzio pickup, and these things came with, you know, Gotoh tuners. It's got a laminate neck. You know, this is a rock solid thing. I suppose you could say, you know, you get your if you Gibson talk about, you get your Friday afternoon guitars, or you know, like the ones that people just wanted to go home, and it's like, oh, you get even the original 58 Les Pauls that everybody always raves about. 1 in 10 was pure amazing. A couple in 10 were really good. One of them was just shite, and then there was some sort of, yeah, they're fine ones. That. Not with Westone Thunders. With Westone Thunders, they're all the same. The accuracy is beyond what us Westerners can do, basically. It's like that's. I mean, I've had a few of these through. I was always going to get one at some point. Actually, I did a Trade Tuesday thing. I was going to get there, and the plan was I was going to get myself a Westone Thunder bass. I ended up buying the Aria Jet, which I've got for sale. Aria Laser Jet. It's basically the same thing, but a slightly different. So if anyone wants to buy this, just buy it. I need the money. But they're basically it's the same. This is an 85. 85 is it? So your number starts with a 5. Basically the same, slightly different shape. Does have different pickups, but by 85 these pickups were in the Thunders. You know, slight differences, but the same. The most important thing, the build quality is the same because they're built by the same people. And these things they did have CNC machines and all that stuff, but not like I saw a thing. I think it was a Fender custom shop, but they were hand finishing the necks, and it involved a guy with a massive belt sander about 20 feet long, and he was taking necks out the box and going. Next, that was hand building a guitar, getting a piece of a neck out of a box that came straight from the CNC machine. 30 seconds of under a belt sander, good enough, in another box, wait to get assembled. That's not how these worked. These were, as far as I can gather, built by one person. So you had, therefore it was traceable back. So the person would go get the necks out of the pile of stuff that came out the CNC machine, get the bodies, and then take them away and build the guitar. You know, obviously they had a box of pickups and you know, all that stuff. Assemble it and fix it and make it all work. And they would be pretty much ready once they were finished with it. It went to final checks, and if it wasn't right, it'd be, oh, Malco, which operator's that? Number 6. Not good enough. You're sacked. Beaten up. You know, whatever. A very different system. That's why they turned out the way they did. American guitars are much better. They're not built like that. Yes, so basically the one thing about Westone Thunders is they're all kind of the same. You get ones later on, once you get to 85, 86, I don't think they don't have as much, they're not as expensive to build, they don't have the solid brass and the stuff like that. You know, there's a few wee frivolous things that arguably don't make any difference. It's got a brass nut as well. But as a rock solid bass, you don't need any other basses. I'm a big P bass fan as well, and I actually end up quite liking the shape. These are normally, this is one that's the boring colour, so it's got the stripes down the middle, you know, so it kind of looks a bit like the Washburn there. That's a neck through. This one's a bolt-on neck, but it has those stringers on it, and there's something, I think, to try and keep the price down a little bit, you know, to try and hit the £200 mark, which is still £600-700 in today's money. So I mean, you're getting one of these now to built to this standard, it's $1,000 up, no problem. I know this from playing other guitars and stuff. I've played plenty of guitars and basses that cost more than £1,000 that aren't as good. They're just not. It's a different world. Yeah, so I've managed to talk 10 minutes not actually play anything, so I'm plugging out the Marshall B150. So as I was saying, this is actually an original design, designed by the factory themselves. They were also very big on push-pull coil splits and active electronics. There's a Thunder 1A. This is the 1. The 1A is basically the same, but it's got an 18 volt preamp thing in it, which gives you like a bass and a treble, which To be fair, nowadays you can get an active bass and it's much smaller and it doesn't need two 9-volt batteries and it's more powerful because technology in the digitally chips and shit has gone up. Technology in building guitars hasn't, not really. You know, you look at like, I don't know, like the guitars from the 50s, your Tellys and your Strats and your Les Pauls and stuff, and it's like, that's still how they make them now. They've not really changed the pickups. Everything on it's just basically that. You know, there's slight refinements, but not much. You know, oh, the Strat got a 5-way switch instead of a 3-way. Kind of it. And everything else is ways of making it cheaper to produce faster rather than actually being better. So this is a kind of, it's thing is it's which is bad about it. It's still a modern bass, or the guitars are the same. It's still modern. You've got, oh, it's a modern one. It's 40 years old now. It's still a modern thing. It's got brass and all these things. There's also, if you're looking at the Thunder range, there's a 1, a 2, and a 3. So the 1 is bolt-on neck. The 2 is a set neck, a glued-in neck, and the 3 is through neck. And sometimes you get more pickups in them. You get like a jazz bass pickup in it as well. But other things, the build quality is the same. The tuners are the same. Bridge is the same. The pickups are the same. It's just less expensive. You know, you don't need a through neck. You don't need any of these things. And they're also available with an A after it, which has got some sort of active battery powered system, but not active pickups like EMGs. So if you get one, the active system doesn't work. It's just the same as this. You know, it's all passive. You can basically put an active thing in this. It's like a wee preamp thing that gives you a bass and a treble, basically, sort of thing. Now, so I'm going to think I might play this in the. Did I mention this was actually painted by Jen Armstrong, who did the new graffiti guitars, which are just stunning. You can't see how good they are on the wall there, but amazing. That one I think will be coming up for sale. That's not mine. That one is mine. I'm not sure what to do with that. Yes, so I just joined a blues band last week. I'm going in tomorrow night. This might be this video is probably going to be a bit away. This might be a wee bit of a time jump for everyone, but I would totally take this into the blues band, and it would be amazing. That's one of the songs I'm playing, which I did a video, I hope the guy never sees it, about how blues is pure shit, how do people like that? Only about a month ago as well. It's like, actually it's really fun to play and I can kind of get it. When you're not playing very many notes, there's lots of opportunity to play them really well, which is kind of the opposite way. I kind of tend to play lots of notes so that you can't notice I'm not playing very well. It's like, oh, that one wasn't right, but when you're really playing 3, all 3 have to be right, whereas if you're just going, you can kind of make a mistake, oh shit, and then turn it into a run and play it again, and it makes it sound like you're doing something fancy when actually it was just a mistake. But that's the range. It's just a P bass pickup. This is at its bassiest, and this is at its treblest. Both very usable, somewhere in the middle. These can also be had for. It used to be a case that these were available. You could find them really cheap. Now less so, but even then, if you're paying 200 quid, 300 quid for one of these, and then you compare that to anything else you can buy for 200 or 300 quid, it's going to wipe the floor with it. It just doesn't maybe have the look because it's not the same one that John Entwistle played or whoever your bass playing hero is. John Entwistle's my bass playing hero, or one of them. Yes. So I'll maybe just have a wee bit of a jam. I've actually talked for quite a long time without even starting. if you don't play bass, you should play the bass. And I mean, okay, I'm using admittedly like an £80 pedal for doing the drum thing, but you can go into YouTube and look up drum tracks, which to be honest I would probably just have done. It's easier just to have the pedal, and then just play along with it, and it's amazing what you could do. That's not a very complicated drum pattern. How you can change things, I'm really noticing that with in this blues band. I'm only dipping in it. How much power you have on the bass. I can completely change the song by playing slightly differently. It's all about the bass. Just the playing ahead of the beat, after the beat, missing out notes, stopping. That's my new thing. My new thing is. And it's like, I'm not really playing anything complicated. I don't know any of the musical theory behind the bass. I just know to keep it going, don't stop. You know, a bass player is the most vital person in the band. It's really kind of appreciate that bit. I got a huge ego boost joining that blues band just because I was able to do it and have a bit of control over it and able to change the feel of what the whole band was doing by just going, oh, I don't know, listen to the rhythm guitar. Maybe if I did a bit more like this, you could see guitars kind of going, what are you doing that? Keep doing that kind of thing. And it's just like, and moving things about, and I suppose even, but just it's the simplest things. I mean, especially, you know, even just playing. I've forgotten it now. That's the riff, right? So you can just play that. That's fine. It's so different when you give it pure. You know, you can just do it a wee bit. Or, and just all. I should probably have done that with the drum track. Cause I'm maybe speeding up and slowing down there, but not really intentionally. Bass is just brilliant. Play the bass. And I don't know, it's not that easy to be kind of good on the bass. You just need to think about it a little bit. Didn't get on great with the bass player in the band I was in. I've left. We split up. Cranking House band. Not really getting these principles at all. Very very different. I suppose maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm wrong that the bass shouldn't be really good and really important and be driving the whole band. Maybe it should be kind of, what was it? The exact quote was, bass should be boring. I don't really like playing bass. Okay. That's quite fundamentally different from what I believe about music. You know, it's the same as anything. It's like, nothing should be boring. If it's boring, that means it's crap. It can be slow and simple or whatever, but boring. Yeah. So I've ranted. I keep complaining about that, but not really. I love the guy. I just didn't. That's why I was in the band for so long. Love the guy, but just bass should be boring. I don't really like playing bass. Yeah. There's the whole thing about, I keep mentioning this, the two main different types of bass player you get. I put myself in the Paul McCartney type bass playing, where he was in a band that had 4 guitarists and he was the best one, so he played the bass because that was the most important one. And then you get the other type of bass player who has a van and wants to be in the band with his pals. Just learn the bass, it'll be easy. You only need to, there's only 4 strings, you know, it's just like, you know, you can just, so you can get away with, you know, playing when you pick. Obviously when you start off like, there you go, you are playing the bass and you've only been playing for 10 minutes. Easy. But you got to learn more than that. That's like the start. I will admit, it's much easier to, starting from never having played anything, it's much easier to get a tune out of a bass. I mean, what the old joke? A guy sends his son to music lessons, to bass lessons. First week, how'd you get on at bass lessons? It's great fun. We're playing A. All right, cool. So just A. Yeah, we're playing A. You know, all right, cool. Then brilliant. So the second week comes out. It's like, what'd you do this week? It's like, D. Right, cool. So you now play A and D? Yeah. So it's like, what is it? Are you doing E next week? And he's like, no, there's no bass lesson next week. Got a gig. Yeah. Which there is a thing to it, but it's the old putting your heart into it, your soul into it. Also, there's nowhere to escape on the bass. A lot of people, I was watching an interview with Nuno Bettencourt. I'm not a huge Extreme fan. To be honest, I've never really heard them very much. Their new song, it's a couple of songs ago now, like a couple of months ago, Rise I think it's called. It's got the most ridiculous guitar solo in it, and I was round at Scott's. I was like, I never really got Extreme, don't really like it. It's like, no, I just skipped to the solos. And it's like, genuinely, I've never been a band that I've listened to where I've just skipped to the solos, because the solos are all amazing. But the guy's really funny, and it's a Rick Beato interview with him, and it's really, I can't remember how I got to that, but I really like him. Now, I can't remember why I was talking about that. Something to do with the bass, wasn't it? Yeah, so Westone Thunder, if you see one for like £100 or something like that, just buy it. They do still pop up. They were incredibly popular. One of the most, of all the Japanese electric guitars, so you've got your the most important electric guitars ever made. You've got your Tele, your Strat, your Les Paul, your 335, your SG. I suppose I would probably put Flying V and Explorer in there. And then when you start moving on, you get, then the Thunder, because it just was a total game changer. They were so popular, especially here in the UK. It was just like pure, because you were buying basically a bass that was as good as a P bass. At least as good as a real Fender P bass. So totally giggable, all proper parts on it. When you actually have to work on these, the difference between working on these and working on like a modern Squire or something is miles, because all the screws turn, every one of them, because they're high quality. They're 40 years old. I mean, I'm talking about a Squire that's 10 years old, and you're rusty screws, and bits don't quite fit right, and all that. And it's like, it's still acceptable. You still play them, and it's all right. I mean, you still need to do it, but it's just like the actual joy of working in these things. I get to think that guy whose luthier friend said it was all bullshit doesn't really get to see very many Japanese guitars, or doesn't like the idea of a Japanese guitar, because if you were working you were a guy doing setups in 1985 or whatever, you would never see these because they play brilliantly, or they're really easy to set up yourself, so you don't get any work from it. Whereas a luthier these days, like, Harley Benton are really good, I love it. People buy their £120 Harley Benton, and then I set it up for them, and then I make £100 on it as well. Buy Harley Benton, I'll fix them. It's like, I don't like that way. I've still got I'll do that this afternoon. I've still got Harley Benton through there. I just don't want to look at. got like the guy's been messing about with it. He's got like a really low action on it, and it's like some guitars can take a really low action, like a Westone can take a really low action because everything's pure, accurate, and built by not robots, built by people who are acting like robots. That's not racist, but Japanese are like a bit Klingon in their honor and perfection and all that. Which is what builds this. Whereas Harley Benton's built by somebody like with a hammer like that. Pure, putting a pickup in, zit 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 zit. Next, they don't even know what a guitar is. I put this there and screw it in. Right, next. Not somebody who actually has to attach all the bits together and make it play. Whoever it was built this knew exactly what they were doing. They built lots, and probably lots of. I don't know how many they were churning out a day, but a lot, because they are mass produced, but mass produced hand built wise. Yeah, half an hour. So this could be one of my videos for during the week. Rock on. Catch you all later. Like and subscribe. And the other thing that I keep forgetting to say,